Jesse?
I think we should be good.
Okay, Elaine, we're ready to begin.
All right, I will call the meeting to order. It is 6:02 p.m. I did my best to have an American flag on my background, so we can start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Okay, never mind, I'm good.
approval of the agenda. Just I guess a few notes before we get going. I guess we should have our mics muted when we're not speaking, so we don't get feedback. And then also we have Kim and Sherry and Jesse back in the high school. Thanks, Jesse, for all your work to get this live streaming for us tonight. And if you make a motion, just say your name, and then we can kind of go from there. We'll do roll call votes for each business item. So, anybody else have any questions? Is it coming through okay? Is thumbs up or something? Okay, thank you. Guess I'll look for approval of the agenda.
Deb makes a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Tate, second.
Tate, I heard your name first. Thanks. Discussion. Hearing none. Kim, I'm going to let you call the roll call vote.
Okay, also,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes.
Ryder,
Yes.
Schwitters,
Yes.
Time.
Yes.
Great. Motion passed. Moving on to public comment, we have a letter that's been emailed to us, and I've been asked to read it. Is there anything else, Sherry? Is that the only one?
That is the only one.
Okay. With not having meetings in person, we have to do it this way, so I'll read this letter. It's from Natalie Clausen, and to be addressed at the school board meeting. To whom it may concern, my name is Natalie Clausen. My husband and I are parents to 3 special needs children that are part of the Gray School District. It has been brought to my attention the proposed new school plan has some questionable setups for the special needs area. After looking at the proposed setup on the school board agenda, we are a lot concerned. One concern is that there are no outside windows in the rooms, and these children will be centered. As we all know, windows are essential to make a person feel connected more than just four walls. Many people have anxiety increase when they feel blocked in and separated from the world. This can be even more devastating for children, especially when they have special needs. Another concern is that there are several connecting rooms that make up the special ed area, and the smaller rooms are only accessed through one larger area. This causes everyone that enters in the smaller rooms to interrupt what is happening in the main floor. If a child is having a meltdown and brought to a different area to calm down, there will be other children traipsing through and basically destroying any calming that has been accomplished. This appears to be a recipe for disaster. As many of the staff are aware, the calmer the setting, the better the outcome. I do understand that there's a specific amount of space available. However, I feel that all the special needs children deserve the best possible situations for the most effective learning, and the same as the rest of the children attending the grade. Special concentrate in order to complete learning activities. Any special needs children.
I think Lane froze.
Okay, if there will be soundproofing to the music room, it would potentially benefit all involved, or not have the special needs area that close at all. Traffic to use the bathroom is typically not common. In fact, try standing in the hallway of any school or workplace during break time. However, I do like that there are bathrooms nearby. Hopefully there will be a separate special ed bathroom for those children that should not be around others while using the restroom in order to uphold the children's dignity. We are respectfully requesting that you all take a moment and reconsider the placement and sizes of the special education areas. These children and staff need your consideration for giving them the most conducive environment for learning. All the children deserve to have the proper equipment for proper education. All McCray children have unique needs. Please do not exclude those who have more in-depth needs than the typical students. I have reached out to Pacer to see if they have any suggestions or avenues that can be explored to better the special ed setup in the proposed building. I will let you know what they have to say. Sincerely, Natalie Clausen. That is the only public comment this evening.
And Lane, I just want to go on record as to say on the bottom of her email, she did say she wants this to be public.
Yes, yep, sorry, I didn't read that. This is, yes, I do ask that this be in the public comments, so thank you for your time. And, we'll now move on to the approval of the consent agenda.
Scott makes a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second?
This is Julie, and I'll second it.
All right, discussion? Hearing none, Kim, would you wanna do the roll call again, please?
Olson,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Mueller, Tate,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Carmel.
Yes.
Motion carried. Communications report, you're gonna have Sherry and John and Melissa do this together.
You know, Kim, we were going to have Chris.
Yeah. On the agenda, let me share it. Chris should actually be before the communication report so that he can get off if he needs to. On the agenda, I just didn't get it on the proceedings.
Okay, sounds good, sorry about that.
That's
Go ahead,
all right.
Chris. Welcome.
Thank you. Probably the first time a lot of you have met Mike from our office, but I've been leading up the post-referendum efforts to continue to develop the project. I can just take this over, right, Kim?
Yes, share screen. Yep, share screen.
Alright, just check. Alright. You see that?
Nope.
How come it switches from person to person?
Can you get it, Chris?
We gotta do one thing here, hang on one second.
There we go.
Alright, so this is our schematic design presentation for your bond improvements project. Our agenda, just briefly review the organizational structure of the team that's working for you, communications, and structure that's essential.
administration and the other volunteers that are on that. So design process. So again, bond passed back in last November. We are in schematic design, just coming to the end of that. And that is one of 4 stages during the pre-construction progress. The other 3 being design development, construction documents, and bid. And then we'll get into construction at the tail end of that. But what we're authorizing tonight is schematic design, the progress that's been made, so we can get into design development over the next 3 months. And really during design development, like I said, we'll get into the details of where outlets or other things, which way the door swings, those kinds of details, really getting into to that kind of level of detail and getting further staff input as we move on. And at the end of design development, construction documents, that's basically the creation of the drawings, specifications that the contractor will build off of when we get to that point. So this is the overall site concept for the building. So your existing building is roughly about right here. So as you see, we'll get into the plans. We've got additions on basically most sides of the building except for the south of the existing building. And the goal here is really to separate bus and parent traffic. We're not going to be able to completely probably get the buses away from overall traffic, but we really want to get the drop-off areas separated. So on the east side of the building, we still have the student staff parking, and then we have a one-way bus drop-off so that the doors are always facing the sidewalk, and then they can exit out. On the bottom, we have the 2-way road coming in, and then we've got a drop-off lane for the middle school, high school, as well as for the elementary. The idea being here is that they can drop off. There's also a drive-out lane, so they're not just waiting for the next part of the week. They can drive out then, or they can drive into this parking lot if they're a visitor. Park there. There's also visitor parking in front of high school, middle school as well. We also have some staff parking up top, and then we have the soft play and hard play areas for both the pre-K and K and the elementary areas. Again, this is just preliminary, so this will probably evolve as we move forward. But this is a good start as to what we need to accomplish with this project to make it a big site. So again, this is your existing floor plan. And this is the overall floor plan as it sits at the end of schematic design. So the bottom corner is the pre-K and kindergarten areas with the early ed, special ed rooms. There is a music room here. The pre-K and K rooms actually have a toilet inside of the rooms, so the toileting can be trained there and the sink on the outside so you can monitor that you're washing your hands. Their cubbies or lockers are inside the room as well. And then each room shares a storage room, so staff have a place to put storage materials, whether that be for crafts, other teaching things. And then you have the main classroom area here, which is a split between hard surface and carpet. And that's true of all 8 of these rooms. Special ed area, for this area, it has its own toilet as well off of one of the rooms, a smaller conference breakout / office space for a staff member that is in the district, and then you get the large muscle area there as well. Music, again, off of the student dining area here, or commons, and then we've got the main entrance, which actually provides a new secure entrance for the site so that visitors would come through these doors, they'd walk through this door, check in, then be released back out so that these doors are always locked during the school day. We'll be getting more detail on kind of how this functions as we get into design development, but that's basically the layout that the whole building will operate under in the main offices. We've got our serving warming kitchen here off of the new student dining. So as you'll see, there's a new spine that kind of connects the 2 buildings. So food can be transferred down here, stored, and then served to the kids. We have some specialist offices along with some sped offices in this area as well that kind of serve the general buildings and kind of split the areas so that they're more centrally located. We have our nurse centrally located so that between the middle school, high school, And the elementary kids, they've got one place to go to rather than trying to walk to one end of the building or the other. And then what we tried to do is actually create an identity for the middle school actually in this plan. So where they were spread out across 2 hallways in some of the planning efforts during the bond, just to get some pricing. We've now got them centrally located using 2 of the existing rooms to create kind of their own commons classroom, and then we're building 4 more classrooms with a smaller resource area, so that again they're kind of located in one corner. They have their own gang. This is the grades 1 through 5 wing and the new gymnasium locker room area. So we have grades 1 starting down here, and I believe theory they just wrap around to grade 5. How you organize that, you're really up to you. There's no set way that they can use that. The rooms are all identical, so whether it's grade 1 or grade 5, they're all the same purpose. We've got 2 group toilets, girls and boys on either end, so they're not walking a long way if they have to go leave. And then we've got some smaller spaces, custodial, electrical, storage up at the corners. And then we've got STEM and science, and then their media center. And then we've got a small commons we've created in this area so that these are flexible, they can spill out, kids can break out with staff if they want, rather than spend all day in their classroom. And then we've got our special ed suite here, and the big reason we landed on a suite during schematic design was it's a shared resources. You don't necessarily have to have all the staff present to monitor this space. It still has the 3 classrooms. I think we actually got a couple more classrooms here that were programmed. We actually have one, I think it's a title room that's accessed off the commons as well. It has 2 access points into their own commons with toilet facilities, some small breakout rooms, and some de-escalation rooms actually. And then there's actually another breakout room right off of one of the other rooms. The gyms, we have 3 gym stations right now. One thing that's a development since the bond passed, and even during referendum planning that wasn't necessarily planned for, and as a code change in new code that was adopted as of March 31st, just last week, is that all buildings will need storm shelters incorporated into them now. That's the reason for this wall. So otherwise, we would have had all 3 of these gyms open together. We now need to create one space that the building occupants can go to. Basically, that means that this entire area, including the locker rooms, will serve as the storm shelter for the elementary, the PKK, middle school, high school, or anyone that's in the building during a sporting event. The reason we chose a gym is it was fairly easy to harden the outside, as well as get all the occupants in there. There's enough floor space. This is up on the northeast corner of the existing building where the theater, 500-seat theater will occur. We've got a commons being created here for students along with design and occurring. Then we have some counselors' offices and specialist offices that deal more with the high school specifically, located off that commons so kids can feel free to flow in and out. Off the back of the theater, we have the scene shop. We are at prop storage, the green room and changing rooms as well. Deliveries will come back through this door, and then this gets into our revised kitchen, remodeled kitchen area, improved kitchen, along with custodial staff area as well. And then we've got our egg classroom addition, metal shop work being done there, as well as the fax component that we're trying to add to one of the rooms that will occur in one of the egg rooms. We're going to take a divider wall out in this room just to provide some more flexibility in the future for classrooms. And then we've got it started here. This area is special ed for the high school, kind of creating their own suite as well so that they can access resources, share resources. And then finally, we have the art room along with the portion of the existing building being used for art storage. performing arts area here, we're creating, again, that suite idea so that they can share some resources. Choir and band staying on the ends they are, but that middle area is getting reworked. Concessions was up off that one corner too as well, so it can come off of this area or it could come off of this area as well if there's a game and a play happening or something in the auditorium. The existing locker rooms are being remodeled to meet Title IX requirements, so that's basically the same amount of lockers, same amount of square footage, same amount of showers in the same space, along with a visitor locker room or a swing space locker room as well, so that visiting teams can use that and you're not displaced out of your own locker rooms. The fitness and weight room area is the addition that's off to this side of the building. And then the existing district office will be remodeled as well. So that'll be reconfigured so that everything can fit within that space. The existing media center will be improved, and that corridor that exists along the back side of it will be eliminated. We'll create 2 additional classrooms for the high school. And then as well as add one more bathroom in the staff area as well. And then the one area for the middle school that didn't get captured in the other signs. And this is a blow up of the current strategy that's being looked at for the improved kitchen area. So we've got our existing area right here where you are served. We're going to enlarge that so that 2 lines can form out. And then you'll have your food preparation in the back house along with storage and prep on the other side with an a la carte window separate. And then a new dish and pan washing area as well, so that everything's a little more spread out, everything's got a little more space, so that you can serve the entire building, because you will be not only serving kids down here, but also preparing meals that will be carted down to the other kitchen. These are a couple of images of where we are in development of the building as a whole. This is the elementary entry, along with a view from the southeast, looking back at the conditions. So this is that pre-KK wing. This is the gym area right here. This is that food and dining commons area. This is the grade 1 through 5 area. That commons area is also popped up over there. The theater in the background. Theater in the front. Here's the southeast corner looking there. This is the main entry for the high school now, the student entry, bus drop-off entry. The existing entry will remain as is. There's no work plans there. And then the weight and fitness area addition off of that side of the building as well. So our schematic design estimates. Right now we're looking at a variance of about 1.5% above where we are. But keep in mind that we also carry an estimating contingency this early in the project to make sure that we are covered. So if you were to eliminate that, we are on budget. But that being said, there are a couple things that are contributing to the overage. One is the upgrade to the kitchen. The bond improvements originally only planned to do the expansion as well as some upgrades at the front house. But that being said, I know Sherry and Kim have recently had a health inspector through, and quite a few things within that existing kitchen were flagged as being needing replacement, which is expected when they hear you're doing a new project. They usually make a point to come through and look. That can be funded through your yearly LTFM, any of those other things that were flagged, so there may be a funding for that. And then the storm shelter that was not originally planned for, that's running about $375,000 as well. So again, those 2 things are contributing, but you know, we're within tolerance here, and that is to be expected in the schematic design phase. As we go through, this will get tightened up. The estimating contingency starts to go away, so that number will be down and under by the time we get there. Not to say that there won't be some items that we identify as alternates that are maybe on the want list or wish list, press through, but the base bid as a project will be is everything that you saw on the plan as of right now. One want that we've identified that's currently not figured in the estimate above or on the plans is upgrading the gym courts to 84 foot long instead of 74 foot long. So basically a varsity courts lengthwise versus a 84 foot lengthwise. Just wanted to give you a snapshot of the overall budget. You'll be seeing this as we move through the project. We're pretty early on in the project, so there aren't a lot of expenses. Right now, in fees and services, really all we're seeing is bond issuance costs and a few of the design. But we track this and update this on a bi-weekly basis and provide a monthly update to the district. An overall schedule. So we're actually the first week of April here, but as you can see, we're ending with schematic design, and we've got quite a ways to go before we start digging and getting in the ground next spring. Get this project out this and then we've got basically about a 2-year period where we'll be doing construction. So what's next? Board presentation that we're obviously at right now. And then pending approval tonight, the design development will start tomorrow. The POC meetings will continue periodically throughout the process. User group meetings are scheduled for the 20th. We're moving forward towards a presentation to you again on the 6th of July, or a date very close to that, for design development. And with that, any questions?
Hi, Chris, this is Deb. I do have several questions.
Sure.
From the first proposal that came out that we showed the community, that basically had 76,674 square feet.
Correct.
What is the new space? I noticed, because in the first one we had 3 wings shooting out the elementary, now we're down to 2. Have we also reduced the square footage?
We are about right at the same square footage, actually.
How much?
We are at the same square footage.
Okay. I guess I've got quite a few questions about the special ed wing. I don't know if other board members have received any communication at all, but I received a lot of phone calls from parents who have special ed children, and very, very concerned about the fact that, number one, they don't have any windows in their classroom, and it does seem that they are very isolated. Couple comments that were shared with me, like for safety reasons. If there's a shooter in the building, they have no exterior access to get out of there. The distraction was something that was really highlighted to me about everybody having to walk through that main area, especially kids who have distractibility issues. And if there are meltdowns or they have runners in the classrooms, once they get out, there's a lot of corridor and places to run. So I would really like to see something happen so that we have been working so hard to integrate special ed into our existing elementary. I mean, that was our last proposal when it was for 3 buildings. It was all about, we've got special ed rooms integrated within the facility. And now it's like we've isolated them. And so I believe that those students deserve windows to the outside at the very least. And then just even looking at how do we justify then if we're going to update the gym, making it longer for $325,000. So we're gonna update the gym, but we're not gonna give our special ed kids, which are about 25% of our student population, we're not gonna give them windows. Piped in lighting is not okay. They need windows in that area.
So they do have access to
questions?
daylight. There are light tubes in that area planned.
That's not the same as looking outside. So maybe we should.
That's fair, but they do have access to daylight. There isn't a space in this building that does not have access to daylight.
Do they have windows to the outside?
They do not, but actually, if you look at the old plan that was used during referendum planning, there were 2 rooms that did not have daylight in there. Not all
But this
rooms
is
get
new.
daylight.
And so I'm just saying, let's do it right. If
Yeah,
we're going to do
so,
it, let's get these children.
Just a little background here as to why the plan went to this versus the 3 fingers. As we started schematic design, there were some big concerns raised with the original plan. It was really only developed to help us put a number to bond planning so that we were confident that we had a right number for your bond. One of the big issues that came up right away was the drifting of snow that was going to happen between the wings. We've seen that on other buildings where you've got fingers like that, especially in western Minnesota where the wind blows. That does create a situation where you get drifts that literally go from ground to roof and over. It's not a good situation for the longevity of your building. It also created a situation while the grades were somewhat separated. They were separated. This actually is a more inclusive plan for all, being that grades 1 through 5, including special ed, are all integrated into one area. There's actually not a lot of distance different for looking at. They're going to interact with one another. They're not going to be in their grades 1 to 2 wing or their grades 3 to 5 wing. Special ed, also we talked a lot about pulling out versus pushing in, where they're not always coming to this space. They're actually going to try to do some of that instruction in classrooms. Now, yes, that's not always going to work, but that's why there's a variety of rooms centered around a central space that those kids can be taught and get the needs that they need. We do this is actually a very common configuration around the state. I would say the last 15 buildings that I've worked on have all gone to this strategy, mainly because it's a staff saver for the district. If someone has to step out and take a kid, someone has to be watching. So at least monitoring, it's not that they're necessarily meant that that's their job, but if you are spread out and your room is on one side, and your room's over here, they have another one over here, there's no sharing of resources at that point. And it does become a strain on the building. Again, there's access to daylight. This area is popped up. We could look at some borrowed lights. We could pop this area up. But at some point in the plan, there was always going to be rooms that were likely going to be landlocked, whether it's regular classrooms, special ed, or your specialty rooms. Just the efficiency and what it takes to build a building without the budget, you're just not going to be able to get every classroom outside.
So is there a possibility of switching out like maybe some of the 3, 4, 5 grade rooms and putting them into the middle and then giving the special ed some natural lighting?
We would have to take that back to the POC group and discuss it there. I don't think that's going to change the want for the suite. We did have the special ed director involved in the discussions and very supportive of the plan that came out.
Did we have the elementary special ed staff at the table, and if so, how many times?
We're a little early in the process for that. That comes in the next phase, actually.
Did any written suggestions that the elementary special ed staff that they passed along, were those included in this design?
Quite a few, actually, yes. Judd and Melissa were very good at getting staff comments to us during the process.
My understanding is that that did not happen. So just from what I've heard, so just sharing that with you.
Okay.
Also, I guess I just have maybe a couple other questions is on the review and comment that we sent to the MBE on page 22 and 23, it talks about continued input from staff and community will further refine and enhance the final design for the remodel and new spaces. Now, I know there was the small committee. What parents were on there from East and West? And how or when will the community get to see more of this? Because not everybody can, get on the YouTube channel and whatnot. So just want to make sure that we're doing what we said we were going to do.
Sure, Kim, you want to field that one? I don't know that I can speak to that.
Well, one of the things I did was I went to each of the buildings with our kind of this plan that we had, and I went to, each of the buildings, the high school one morning and the other buildings at noon during people's lunches. I just wanted to also add, not only did our special ed coordinator here attend probably four meetings, and then we also invited our special ed director from the service co-op to review this as well. So I think once we get to a plan, I'm more than happy to go around and take a plan that the board has approved and explain it to people.
So, thank you for sharing that. Just wondering though, were the elementary special ed teachers at the table?
Well, we didn't have them at the table at every meeting, but just like other departments, we didn't have all the staff at the table. We had an elementary rep, Jen Van Epps, that was at the table representing generally special ed people. And we had a high school teacher that came. I think she was only at one meeting, but she was here kind of to just be the rep for the other teachers. Trying to think of other examples. Music people, they weren't always here at every meeting. So we really tried to make sure at least there were representatives. We didn't have all coaches and all Phi Ed teachers here at every meeting, but we had tried to have Jim and a Phi Ed teacher here. So that's kind of how we went about that.
So I'm just kind of gathering that maybe we didn't have the elementary special ed teachers maybe as involved so that they could have really commented on what their thoughts were. I'm always a firm believer in, we should ask the people who are actually doing that work because they really know what's best and whatnot. And those were some of the comments that I was receiving back as a board member, because they really feel that the special ed kids are not getting the same as what our other children are getting because they do not have access to natural lighting via windows. Now you can pipe in lighting all you want, it is not the same when you talk about looking outside, look at the day, things like that. So those are some of the concerns that were brought to my attention. And then also I didn't gather who from East and West were on the planning committee.
Jen Van Epps was here from East, and
like the committee members.
There's no city members on the group at this point other than Carmel, who represents the board, and Julie. Nate Bourne was on the project oversight committee, or is on it. And so those are the people that have been on so far.
So I'm just asking a question, was Nate on as a community member then?
Yes.
And so did we reach out to community members from East and West?
I think we probably were primarily looking at the school, and I didn't reach out specifically. But we can certainly get some people and change that moving forward. Because like Chris said, we're not complete.
Maybe a little late now if we've got this, maybe it's a little late now if we've got this concept out, but I just really think from what I've heard when people first saw this, it's come, it's quite a bit different. We had the three fingers going out before and whatnot, that now's the time, because my understanding is, even though this is a schematic, that we're really not going to be changing walls around a lot going into the next phase. And I really want to advocate for making a difference for that special ed group so that they have windows to the outside. However you need to do that. Maybe it's not having all that space in the auditorium to get costs. Maybe it's not adding that $325,000 for that little length of the gym. That was a want. That wasn't a need.
To clarify, that's not in the project right now. The extra gym size is not in the project right now.
Okay. So how can we take some of those costs? This is the first time that the board, other than Julie and Carmel, have seen that. So that's why I just have all these questions that I'm asking that have been shared with me, so.
So Carmel and Julie, were you gonna present anything from your perspective of working on this? Or, I don't know if you have anything you wanna add?
This is Carmel here, and I just wanted to add a couple of things. I think one thing we really tried to accomplish, what we talked about, is the natural light in those rooms versus a window. A window would possibly have more distractions, where natural light allows you to get some light in the room without necessarily the distractions of what's happening outside through the window. So we really tried to find that balance there of how to make that work. I think another thing to think about, a lot of the special ed kids, from what I've been told, do not spend all day long in those rooms. So they do get around and they get throughout the building. I just wanted to say that. And then the other thing I wanted to point out too, Nate Bourne currently does have kids in the elementary school and in the high school, so he is familiar with both areas.
So I just want to comment back to that distraction piece, and that was one of the biggest concerns that we also heard in Natalie's comment, was having that big open suite area. That is horribly distracting to children with people coming and going all the time. Some of the kids that are in the special ed in that area are in there 3/4 of the day. And correct me if I'm wrong, but is our special ed population at least 25% of our student population? And if that's the case, get them some windows.
I just have one other comment with that. The 25%, if that is the population, I don't think 25% of the kids are spending 75% of their day in those rooms.
That is what one of the special ed teachers shared with me. I said some of those children, some, I didn't say all, I said some of those children spend up to 3/4 of their day in those rooms.
Right.
And again, if that's the case, then let's move some of those elementary classrooms in there. How do you suppose those teachers would feel?
Just to be clear, some of the special ed rooms actually do have windows, so.
Which is awesome, so let's, we can figure out how to have all of that, how that happen for all of them.
It's someone's gonna have to sacrifice, cause I can't get everyone windows, that's just the way it's gonna be.
Then maybe we compromise and move maybe a first grade or a second grade classroom into the middle.
Well, it'll be more than that, it'll be probably three classrooms worth, maybe even 4.
And why is that? Because of cost? Are there other things that we can give up, the size of the auditorium or different things like that?
Right now, we're meeting the requirement of the review and comment at 500 feet. I don't think I can provide a project that doesn't meet the review and comment requirements. Right now, we are on square footage and meeting the review and comment.
But if you take away from one area, you could add to another, we're still staying within those square footage. And when you look at the schematics, the weight room's even got windows.
Well, taking away though means I'm taking away review and comment square footage. So I'm starting to short something that your voters approved. Everyone's getting the square footage that was approved in the review and comment.
Maybe a better way that I should say that is reallocating where the space is located then.
Well, again, so then you're shorting something in the review and comment. Everyone's getting the square footage they were promised in the review and comment that the voters approved. I'm bound to, so that's why I have to keep the architects and engineers held to. I can't start shorting the weight room or even the district office or the let's say the middle school area because we want to make something else.
So it's not an overall square footage?
That overall square footage is made up with very specific programmatic needs.
Okay,
So let's
So
say.
we're bound by what we put into
Part
that.
of it, elementary's part of it, the gym is part of it, the auditorium's part of it. We have an X number for new square footage that's broken down into those pieces.
and we're bound to follow that to the letter of the law.
If the board wants to change that and vote on changing it, but I don't think your voters would be all that pleased with a change in direction in that route.
No, I'm just asking though that it's not by total square footage, it's by all those incidentals.
It's both. Because what's not necessarily captured is all of the circulation. But that's a reality of a building. We end up with circulation regardless, because that's the only way you can get into rooms.
Okay. So what about the safety issue? If there is a shooter in there, in that area, are those kids, it looks like they're just gonna be, yeah,
They have the option either shelter in place or they've got actually two doors. They can get out this way, they can get out this way, they can get out this way. Just like any other classroom, you have the choice to shelter in place or leave.
plus they have the windows, which they are also teaching to bust the window if you need to.
Yep. But that's probably your last option if you're gonna do something.
So if we would go back to the 3 fingers coming out, we'd still meet the same square footage. Would every classroom then have a window?
No.
Which ones would?
There were classrooms in that plan that did not have a window and they were special ed rooms. And they were also right across from the gym, which is another big reason why we changed the plan as it is right now. Because it was felt that was just gonna be way too noisy for where they were located in the plan. And they're not part of the rest of the building community as well. They're segregated off of the hallway. You don't interact with them.
So I also noticed that we've got 4 sections of the pre-K, is that correct? And then everybody else has 3, is that because of the age difference, or?
It's the classroom size that you provide the education at.
So what are we looking at, for like capacity then in the elementary classrooms?
Sherry, what are you running at right now?
Or what are they set up for?
Well, they're all set up, they're 950 square feet and they're set up for anywhere from, well, we figured about 25 to 27 if we needed to. We also, I just wanted to point out, have 4 sections of kindergarten as well in this plan.
So we'll have smaller for the earlier, and then as they get older, then the class sizes will get bigger. Is that kind of the thinking then, or?
That's how education's delivered in the state of Minnesota.
I thought we talked about in the referendum that we have reduced class sizes.
Well, either way, you start, it's dependent on grade. So pre-KK, you have smaller ratio to teacher because they are younger and they are learning at a greater rate maybe than a high schooler. And in elementary, it steps up, and then when you get in middle school and high school, you're looking at your more typical, anywhere from 25 to 30 kids. You actually are gaining quite a few classrooms because we've been able to create some of the existing classroom and we've been able to create the middle school suite as well as the elementary.
One of the things too, I just wanna point out is that right now we've got a bit of an imbalance between the two elementary schools. We might have, and I don't have the exact numbers right with me right now, but there might be a class of, and Judd, if you wanna jump in with exact numbers, that'd be great. But we might have a couple classrooms with 17 in each, I'm just thinking of any numbers here, at West, because 34 might be too big. Judd, do you have an example of this, how we, because
Yeah.
we're together in one building?
Yeah, so for instance, one of the problems I ran into for this current school year, when I was doing my planning last spring and over the course of the summer, was to try and come up with that balance. So, one, I would have been able to have potentially, say, 22 students per class with having all the sections together. I'm running with, say, 25 in first grade at West, and then I'm rolling with about, 20 or 21 in the two sections of East. So it's that balancing would make a big difference, I think.
Julie or Carmel, being reps of the board of the work that we've done on the project oversight committee, do either of you want to share anything about the big picture of the project or anything like that?
Julie here, I've got a couple of notes here that kind of give a general rundown of what we've been looking at on those during the POC committee meetings. And I think we tried hard to get that middle school integrated into their own little part of the school, just like the other parts of the school have their own kind of areas. So that was a nice transition for them. They'll be accessing the high school for various classes, and yet they still have an identity of their own. So that was one of the things we worked hard to do. And we do have a nice separation between the pre-K first wings and the elementary wings there. We tried to build flexibility into the plan as many places as we could, like multi-use spaces. For instance, the new ag classroom is accessible to other students. It's not just for ag only. We've got elementary media center, science, STEM rooms. We've got some gathering areas and some common spaces. So there's other options to use for teaching instead of just being in that classroom. I think we solved some problem areas. For instance, the congestion at the concession stand, kind of enlarged that and moved it around a corner so it's accessible really from 3 different areas, whether it's the existing gym or the new gyms or the auditorium, or even the lunch area. More storage, we have a larger weight room, reconfigured some offices so they're much more efficient. We've got the storm shelter, which we're required to have. It seems like we tried to make sure everybody that's using the building, no matter what grade you're in, that they're getting some sort of an upgrade, so we can increase the educational opportunities, whether it's the tech ed or maybe the industrial kitchen that we or tried to do as part of the FACS over on the tech ed wing there. The music and the arts all got upgrades for their performance and practice areas. Motor skills, special room for large motor skills for special ed. So that's been, I think we worked hard to make sure that every part of this building is going to be an increase for educational opportunities. And we worked to get natural daylight in as many places as we could. I think as far as the exterior, the dedicated drop-off areas for buses and cars is going to be nice and it's much safer. And we've still got some work to do on some of those areas. And then, of course, on the exterior, blending that old and new parts of the project together so it looks like one project. And of course, keep that nice clean look and our maintenance low, keep our costs down. So we've still got work on all of those things to do, but I think this is really a good start that we've got here. We've solved a lot of problems and created some really nice new educational spaces too. So, John. couple more questions. What are the size of those special ed rooms, those little breakout rooms? Because it looks like just from my floor plan is that like the preschool, those two rooms combined have more space than the special ed space has. What are the size of those rooms that are in there, those breakout rooms?
I don't have those numbers handy at the moment. They're appropriate for the size of kids that would be in there. It's not as many kids. So again, that's not why. I mean, they're based on students being served rather than just providing a room.
I'd say one of the other
So
reasons.
is the title, are those title rooms as well as sped rooms then?
Title is spread throughout. There's some over by the middle school, I believe. There's, this was a title room here. So they're spread throughout the facility.
So currently, do we have, how many large motor rooms do we currently have for the special ed and elementary?
One right now.
They currently have two. And so now we're going down to one?
In elementary schools?
Yes.
Well, that was the idea, that you're combining facilities, so you have one, you can combine efforts, get it to the size and the needs it wants to be, and you can provide those services in one.
Is the room square footage wise smaller though, the one room, than the two rooms that we currently have?
I know it's big enough to serve the equipment that you have, because that's what it was based off of.
But not sure if it's smaller or not.
I don't know off the top of my head. I didn't build this presentation around the square footages.
This is Carmel. I just wanted to add a few things too about the committees that we had, or who was part of the committees. Like Sherry had mentioned, we had elementary staff, we had high school staff. We also had our head custodian involved. We had different user groups, the kitchen, people that work in the kitchen came in and looked. We had a lot of different people come in and take a look at things in here and give us input. And also mention the consultants that we had for the theater part of it, the different acoustics and lighting and different things in the theater. And then also the kitchen consultant as well.
And that is really great to hear. I guess my concern is though, from the concerns that were shared with me, that the voice of the elementary special ed teachers was not at the table, nor the things that they submitted. They did not see a lot of those show up on this plan. So I just want to be a voice for those individuals.
After receiving the emails and same thing I think all the board members did, I called Sherry, I called Carmel, I called Julie. I feel that, you know, our committee is doing the best they can for all the students. I do not feel like they're trying not to help special ed. And I support the committee with their ideas, and we gotta remember, some of this, I don't know how much is gonna change in the moving rooms around, but we are doing the best we can with the guidelines we need to follow for the best of our students and for the future. I mean, this is a 25-year plus thing, so it's not being taken lightly, and I just wanted to share that.
And I appreciate that, Lane. I guess I just have to respectfully disagree with you that I don't think we are doing the best for our students. How many times do we get a lot of phone calls or emails about things? And obviously this is a concern to the special ed parents, and I think we need to listen to their concerns, because that is what's gonna make this a good thing for their children. That is what's doing best for our special ed children, by listening to those parents, listening to what their concerns are, and then how do we integrate those back into the plan.
Anything else else anybody would like to add?
I just like to ask what are the possibilities. What are the possibilities of going back, looking at this before we make a decision? I mean, this is the first time that a lot of us board members have seen this. This is the first time that the public has seen this. We've had a lot of concerns expressed to us from the special ed parents. We need to listen to them. And so what are the chances that we can go back and take a look at reconfiguring things?
Well, it means time and delaying. We probably are gonna spend a month going back through and re-looking at it, if that's what the board wants to do.
Well, I would just like to throw that out there because in the special ed section, there are 4 teachers in one area that's in the size of a kindergarten classroom.
It's probably 1.5 classroom sizes for kindergarten.
Oops. I guess we can, discuss it when we get down to, business items, as far as what direction we wanna go. I don't have the answer to that question right now, so that's what I'm kinda leaning towards. Let's, discuss it further down the business items.
This is Tate. I have a question for Chris.
Yeah.
In your presentation, you brought up some of the extra things and other concerns that we could use long-term facility maintenance monies for.
There's a potential for that if the district so chooses to.
Okay, is what I'd like to just bring up on that is some of that has been talked about being allocated for buildings at the football field and the baseball field. So I don't know if that was brought into play when it's been discussed to use long-term facilities for other purposes.
We haven't gotten any further in discussion. It was just brought up as an option.
Okay.
And I don't think it's necessarily gonna eliminate a project or delay a project. It just provides a potential funding source.
Okay.
Is all that was discussed.
All right, any other questions for Chris? Hearing none, Chris, thanks for coming online with us this evening. Appreciate it.
Not a problem.
All right, from here we'll move on to Sherry and let you have your part here.
Yeah, I just wanted to, everybody's talking about COVID-19. I wanted to share with everyone, it would be absolutely impossible to name everybody who's stepped up and is just doing incredible work to support our kids and continuing quality education. I just want to go back to the very first day when the superintendents in the state had an 8 a.m. Sunday morning meeting with the commissioner. It was an embargoed, privileged meeting, and in which the governor was going to announce on March 18th the schools would go into the planning. That morning, Judd and Melissa, Scott, our school nurse, we met with her by phone, Jane, Judd and Melissa helped me, who was all there, and we divided out jobs because we knew we were going to have to address many issues of education, including nutrition, meals and instructional material pickup, health and wellness, mental health supports, attendance and truancy, special ed services, IEPs, 504s, English language learners, early learning, assessments, communications. We had to consider tribal issues, broadband access, our libraries, our activities, our staff, our funding and employment and workforce. And that morning, we started out with what our teacher's gonna do on the 16th, to get our kids ready on the 17th, to send home supplies and materials. And then on the, I think it was the 17th, was our last student day of school, and then we went into the 8 days, of preparing. And I don't know that I ever heard a complaint from anybody. Everybody stepped up, everybody pitched in, and it's become cliche to say that in this uncharted waters, in this uncharted territory, but the staff here, and however you define the staff, there was not a single complaint or criticism. They all just moved forward. And we went around the district. I want to say our paraprofessionals, probably the biggest question among superintendents is, what are our paraprofessionals going to do? One school, we're going to have them paint. One school, we're going to have them sweep. We're going to have them shred. But our paras are working so hard to provide meaningful, rich work to support the teachers and supporting the kids. And I just want to have Judd and Melissa speak to some of the specifics of what are going on, what's going on with education. I smile because I've seen some second grade lessons. I was just talking to our high school biology teacher today about some of the things she's got going on. And I want to turn it over to, we'll start with elementary and Judd. And if you would just share, Judd, some of the really neat stories of what's going on with distance learning at this point.
No, the catchphrase that everybody might be familiar with is the whole idea of a paradigm shift. And when you take education, classic education in the classroom, and with teacher-led direction, and then you flip it on its head and you try and say, we're going to create something brand new to us. I mean, it's not new in general, but brand new to us over the course of 8 days. It's really mind-boggling, and I won't say the concern, but how are we going to do this type of reality is what really hit everybody, and the amount of people supporting each other, parents going, what do you need me to do? Tell me what you need me to do, and I'll be more than happy to do it. The way that this event, ongoing event, has really forced the bonding to happen between staff has been awesome. Different things I've been hearing from the teachers. So I try to meet with 2 grade groups every single day, and we have a Zoom meeting, and so this is, as a brand new week, was able to start going, okay, what was last week like for you? And they have the kindergarten and first grade teachers with their eyeballs about that big when we're talking a week ago to where we're at today. They're saying, you know what, this has gone so much better than I anticipated it would. The parents support has been fantastic. Parents are buying in. The amount of work, kind of going through the attendance and the need of work turn-in and how we have to accomplish that is something that, there's still going to be kinks that we have to iron out, but the creative thinking and the buy-in that the staff have shown also has been something that has been fascinating, because with the 2 elementary buildings operating independently so much, now to have them have the opportunity to do really, they could meet every single day if they want via Zoom, to share their planning and to share their ideas has been outstanding. And so a lot of the, I wouldn't say reluctance, has really been thought through, and the teachers have stepped up, the paras have stepped up, the school age care has been a phenomenal asset to our essential workers. The number of meals that have been pumped out district-wide has been phenomenal. And so really nothing but kudos for everybody on the board. And, and then to be honest with you, I think it's gone much better also. And for me, selfishly, as much as I miss the kids, it's really nice to see the teachers every day too, because when we were going through the planning, I just had to see Melissa and Sherry a bunch. And no offense to either of them, but I'd much rather see all the other teachers also. So it's been a really, really good experience, and I think we've got some really good products coming up.
Melissa, do you have anything to add from the high school perspective?
Here, I would echo a lot of what Sherry and Judd have already said. The high school staff jumped all in without a single complaint, and they have done a phenomenal job. I too have been meeting with all of my teacher groups, so and support staff. And so I have 13 regularly scheduled meetings just with staff every single week. And when I checked in with everybody last week to see how week 1 was going, everybody said it was going much better than planned. And, I think they all went into it, with some nerves, because as we've all said, we were not trained to be distance learning educators. And so, they had 8 days to learn how to do this. And they've done a wonderful job with it. We have everybody at the high school using Google Classroom, so that makes it nice that they're all on the same platform. A lot of them Zoom or use GoToMeeting, and so I've been able to sit in on a number of Zoom classroom sessions, so it's been fun for me to see the students in class with their teacher and get to see how that works and how they interact with one another. And I've shared with Sherry some of the work that our teachers have put together for their students, because what I'm seeing, I am very impressed with. And to speak to the special ed, I would have to say I am so proud of the plan that the special ed team at the high school put together for their paras in support of our students. I would honestly say that we have probably one of the best plans put in place in the entire state. Super proud of what our high school special ed team has done with their paras to support our kiddos.
Thank you. Just a couple follow-up comments. I would encourage everyone on the board to go to our website and go to the COVID-19, and anybody who's listening, actually go to our COVID-19 microsite. That's probably among the richest of microsites, COVID-19 information. I want to just say that Sarah Mock has just done an incredible job of keeping that going for us. But that microsite needed to include everything I mentioned in that first list to prove that we have addressed every one of those issues. And lastly, I want to say that our message to parents is we are not expecting you to be homeschool teachers. Our teachers have provided the lessons, they're providing the monitoring, they're providing the assessments. They're providing the safety nets for the kids, and we're asking the parents not to be online teachers, homeschool teachers, but to provide the necessary space at home, the time for kids to work, the support for their work as we always have asked them to do, and then also to reach out to us with questions. Let us know, please let us know if there's something you don't understand, if you have a better idea for how something could work. I was talking to Tate this morning, and he had a great idea that Melissa and Judd and I are going to talk about in our meetings tomorrow. So, yeah, those are our messages, and we thank everybody for their patience as we're rolling this out, and what seems to right now be quite a successful distance learning plan. I don't have anything else. If anybody has any questions, any of us would be happy to answer them. Okay, Lane.
Helps to unmute, I guess. There we go. Thanks, Sherry and Judd and Melissa. Do we have any committee reports besides what we've gone through already?
No, next is you for the board chair commentary.
Okay. All right.
I'll just read this, that way I don't have to live it and goof it up. I have observed from a distance the work McRae employees have done for the education, safety, and well-being of our students. The custodial staff has cleaned, deep cleaned, and cleaned again. The office staff has kept and the still required attendance, report cards, and general office needs handled efficiently. The district office has continued to pay staff, order supplies, manage the budget, and set up tonight's meeting among so many other parts of the school business. Teachers, social workers, counselors, paraprofessionals have kept learning happening as they learn a whole new system. Our school nurse keeps the district aware of news, checks on student and teacher physical and mental health. I want to recognize Denise Smith and the paraprofessionals who are working to keep school-age childcare running to support Tier 1 employees such as healthcare, emergency workers, and grocery workers. They come to work daily, create special activities for students, and plan a day of structured time so the parents of these kids can continue to help our important social systems operate for all of us. Also, kitchen staff daily prepares meals for all families who have asked. Our kitchen staff prepare over 120 meals a day. Those meals meet federal guidelines for food nutrition. Then there are the bus drivers who deliver meals to those kids in the country daily. These people are in direct support of kids who otherwise may have not been able to eat. I am very proud of McRae. Sherry has created certificates that she and I signed to recognize these workers. I know she wanted the whole board to sign, but the logistics on that would have been tough. So these certificates will go out in the mail in the next days. So just really appreciate how McRae has stepped up, and it's great. So thank you for everybody. From there, I guess we'll move on to business items.
Mr. Chair, if I may add?
Yep, go ahead.
Well, amongst the concerns that I heard, I also heard some really great comments too, just to reiterate what you did say about the staff. And parents have been very pleased with the information and also the communication that has happened. The one little glitch I think that we all probably have heard of is the broadband issue. And so that's just something to keep in mind too.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have comments on that before we move forward? All right, so business items. Only one tonight.
This is Carmel. I'll make the motion to approve the schematic design of the building project and to move into the design development phase.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
This is Scott. I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Discussion.
I guess I have another question, just in the schematic design estimates. Can you explain what is that winter condition and miscellaneous? What does that for?
Your project will occur over at least one winter, so the contractors have to pay for heat to protect their work as their masonry's curing and concrete's curing. That's what it's for. It's really just a placeholder to make sure we don't forget about that.
I know the motion has been made. I guess I'd just like to also reiterate the fact that we've had some concerns brought forward. And I think it's us doing our due diligence and listening to those concerns and seeing what we can do to try to address some of those.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll call the roll call vote, and I'll let Kim do that for me, please.
Yep, Julie?
Yes, my answer is yes.
Try again. Deb?
No?
Tate?
No.
Scott?
Yes.
Wayne?
Yes. Whoops.
Carmel?
Yes.
All right, motion carried. Next up, we have, meetings and committee, to be, determined yet on committee meetings, and our next regular school board meeting is, May.
11th. May 11th.
May 11th. I guess just watch the website. There's probably a good chance it might be this way again. I'm hoping we can have it in the boardroom. I prefer that a lot better, but we gotta do what we have to do here, so. With that, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
This is Scott. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, is there a second?
This is Tate, and I'll second.
All right, roll call vote on this, Kim, please. Or do you want me to do it? You got it back feeding there yet?
I'll try it. Yep, you do it.
Okay, all right, Julie,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes?
Tate,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
I am a yes, and Carmel?
Yes.
Great, motion carried. We are adjourned. Thanks everybody for zooming in tonight, and everybody on YouTube, thanks for watching, and hope we're in the boardroom on May 11th. Thank you, everybody. We're adjourned.